The modern person, in essence, no longer understands what real rest actually is. So today, let's break it down from a scientific perspective, what it means to truly rest, what makes it possible, and why it works the way it does. But first, let's talk about work. Today, there's plenty of research showing that more than about 4 hours of deep, focused work per day actually starts to reduce productivity. I'm talking specifically about high concentration work, when you're fully immersed in a task without distractions. If we take a broader view and define work as simply being at your workplace, including social media, conversations, breaks, and so on, even then, exceeding 50 hours per week leads to a sharp drop in efficiency. Beyond 55 hours, productivity barely increases at all, and once you cross the 70-hour mark, it can actually start to decline. In other words, working more does not mean working better. So the first line of defense against stress is simple. Limit deep, focused work to around 3 to 4 hours a day with regular breaks. But here's the catch. Even if you stopped working entirely, that still wouldn't guarantee real rest. Because the main problem for modern people isn't work. It's the environment we live in. Why we don't truly rest. One of the key things we've lost over the past 200 years is regular contact with nature. For example, the average American spends only about 2 hours per month in natural environments. In Eastern Europe, the situation is slightly better, but still far from ideal, especially in large cities, where most time is spent surrounded by concrete, glass, and asphalt. This has a direct impact on mental health. When scientists started studying this, it became clear nature isn't optional, it's fundamental. Remove it, and we lose our ability to properly recover. How nature affects attention research shows that even minimal contact with nature improves focus. In one experiment, participants performed a repetitive, boring task, pressing a button when certain numbers appeared. Occasionally, they were allowed to look out a window. The result? Those who saw a tree performed better. Those who saw only urban scenery became fatigued faster. Just one tree made a measurable difference. Similar findings exist for sound. Natural sounds, waves, birds, wind, improve concentration. Urban noise does the opposite. How attention works. Imagine you're in a dark room holding a flashlight. If you stand far from a wall, the light spreads out. Your attention is broad and relaxed. If you move close, the beam becomes narrow and sharp. Your attention is tightly focused. Your brain works the same way. In urban environments, your attention is constantly locked in, tense, and narrowly focused. Even when you think you're relaxing, watching a movie, sitting in a cafe, your brain is still reacting to noise, movement, and stimuli. Nature, on the other hand, automatically shifts your attention into a relaxed, diffuse state, without any effort on your part. That's what real rest actually is. Why this matters: attention is a limited resource. It gets depleted. When it's constantly strained, your focus worsens, you fatigue faster, your productivity drops. Even brief exposure to nature helps reset your attention. Effects on mental health. The impact of nature on mental health is profound. For example, a large-scale study, nearly 1 million children, found that kids who spent more time in green spaces were about 55% less likely to develop psychiatric disorders, and this effect was independent of income level. Even artificial nature helps. Interestingly, watching nature on a screen improves well-being. VR nature experiences have measurable benefits. Hospital patients recover faster when they can see greenery from their window. How much nature do you need? The minimum effective dose appears to be around 2 hours per week. But it's not just about time, it's also about how you experience it. There's even a psychological concept called connectedness to nature. The stronger a person feels this connection, the greater the benefits. And this isn't something you can replace with social life, ideology, or anything else. The bottom line: nature isn't just a pleasant addition to life, it's a necessary condition for a healthy mind. Modern people live in a constant state of tension, and even their rest is often flawed. Real rest means reducing cognitive load, shifting attention, and returning to a natural environment. Without that, we're not truly resting, we're just simulating it. Hope this was helpful, and maybe after this, you'll start spending a bit more time in nature.